I'd like to take a moment to thank my channel members. Thank you. It's continued support like yours that keeps this channel growing. And if you haven't already, please consider joining today. Hello and welcome, I'm Bert the Stormtrooper, and today we're going to be taking a look at the KFC Toys E.A.V.I Metal Phase P6K Toe Cutter. And I love this toy regardless of that incredibly long name. And what this is basically KFC Toys have done yet another remold or a retool to their Junkion figure, this time into a modernized interpretation of the GoBot Renegade leader, Cykill. And Cykill was probably my favorite GoBot growing up. I absolutely adore his colors and his design. So anytime I can get my hands on a Cykill, I am all for it. And this figure has been a lot of fun for me. Now, this was a gift from my really good friend, Patriot Prime. He did a review on this figure. If you haven't seen that review, I'll put a link to it right here. Go check out his review. He reviewed this figure. He was kind of lukewarm about it. He was kind of 50-50 on it. Felt it didn't fit in his collection, and he sent it to me as a gift, which absolutely blew me out of the water because this is such a beautiful figure. And honestly, I have not been able, I've had it for about 2 weeks now. I cannot put this figure down. I love this figure. I can't stop playing with it. I can't stop fiddling, messing with it. I can't stop transforming it. I really am enjoying this figure quite a bit. Taking a look real quick at the packaging, the toe cutter packaging, this is really neat. I absolutely love that interpretation of Cykill right there. It just that artwork is just absolutely awesome. Toe cutter right there in the in silver letters. I guess the whole toe cutter thing is, I guess this is supposed to be kind of like a post-apocalyptic take on Cykill, and with the whole post-apocalyptic thing, they kind of dug into Mad Max. Toe cutter was the leader of the bad guys in the first movie. Cykill was the leader of the bad guys for the GoBots, so toe cutter. Yeah, it's a cool tie-in if you're nerdy enough to know what that is. You got some writing over here, E.A.V.I Metal. E.A.V.I Metal on the top as well, which stands for Expendable, Autonomous, Virulent Infantry. Converts from Robot Warrior to Apocalyptic Motorcycle and back again. And then along the back, really cool line drawing. I really like that. That looks so cool. And then you got what's included in the card, in the box. You got a bio card, you got instructions, and you've got a couple of accessories, which I'll show off here in a moment. And then a little bio there on toe cutter if you want to pause that and read that. I'll probably be going back and forth between toe cutter and Cykill, but eventually I'll probably just kind of fade into Cykill, not Cykill. I'll probably just get into calling him Cykill here eventually, and just naturally going to happen, and that's what I'm going to call him because he is Cykill. Now here we have Cykill or toe cutter in his motorcycle mode. It's huge. It's approximately 8.5 inches long from tip to tip, and it's about 4.5 inches tall. Not the exact same design that we had back with the original Cykill. Obviously, it's a retool of the Junkion. When I first saw this motorcycle mode, it kind of took me back. I'm like, that's a weird looking motorcycle for Cykill. Once I understood where this is coming from, once I understood that this was a retool of their Junkion mold, which if they've retooled, I think like 6 or 7 times now. Once I understood where that was coming from, it made complete sense, and I really dug it. Now, there are a couple of issues to address with the bike mode. The first one is that the wheels are spiked. And of course, being that he comes from the Junkion, it makes sense that all the wheels are spiked, and he's post-apocalyptic and all of that. I get that. Personally, I wish the wheels weren't spiked. The motorcycle is really not very functional. It's more meant to, there it is, look at it, it's pretty. You can't really roll it along or anything like that. You got these kickstands here, and you can pull these up. And you see when he rolls, he's just going to do that. So it's not like you can push him off and watch him go. He's not going to do that because these spiked wheels are just not going to roll. Another issue, which I have somewhat addressed here, is that there are some clips holding this white top of the tank here to the body of the motorcycle, and they're not very strong. So a lot of times what will happen And again, I've addressed it with mine, but what most people end up seeing is when they put the bike down, the weight, because this is all metal down here, the weight of the bike pulls and this whole top piece separates. And so if you're trying to display it without the kickstands, this is what it's going to look like. Right now, I have tightened mine up, and mine have a tendency to hold, and I can lean it over and see it's holding okay. Now, if I push down on it, boom, it's going to come right off again. So the bike, it's not very functional. It's just kind of pretty. But just, you know, because the tank doesn't hold. But even if the tank held, because of the spike on the wheels, you can't roll it either. It's not like you can push it and roll it off. So it's not a functional bike mode. You use it for display just like this. You can maybe take other figures, mount them on top of this so that they look like they're riding the bike. You take your pictures or whatnot. It's for display purposes. It's not really for play. So enough about that. Now, taking a look at the details. Absolutely beautiful. I really love it. It's, again, not exactly what Cykill looked like back in the day, but when you look at this, you know who you're looking at. You got that blue bottom right there. You got the red body with the yellow details, and then you got the white top up here. You got that black window. You got the black seat, the gray legs in the back. It all makes sense. You know exactly who you're looking at. All of this down here on the bottom is metal. You got a nice chrome pipe right there. You got silver details there on the side. Really nice. These are actual metal. These are die-cast metal. These handlebars right here. And then you got your mirrors and your brake and clutch handles there, done in silver. Really, really nice. Beautiful, beautiful bike. You got your gas cap up here in silver as well. Really, really cool. Let's set him off over here to the side. Let's do a couple of comparisons. Here he is with the Action Toys Bike Robo Cykill, or Bike Robo, so you can see what they look like. And then, you know, this is the original design of the bike. So you can see it takes the cues, but it's a whole new take, which I really kind of dig it. I really do enjoy that. Here he is with the Super GoBots Cykill. So you can see what the two of them look like together. And size-wise, this guy is absolutely enormous. And then finally, let's bring in the original Cykill. So you can see what the two of them look like together. He's just absolutely tiny next to this guy. And there you go. So you can see what they look like together. Now, before we get into transformation, I did fail to mention at the beginning of the review, I usually say this, but I got so excited talking about Patriot Prime giving them to me. This is available from online retailers right now as of the time of this recording. It retails for approximately $120. If you go to Show Z store, they have it on sale right now for $113. So that's usually something I cover at the beginning of every video, and I just realized that I didn't because Patriot Prime sent it to me, and I was just gushing over him. So go check him out. All right, let's get into transformation. So let's start right here at the front of the bike, and the struts and the wheel. We're going to remove these, so you can just pull these apart and remove that, and then these struts are going to come apart like so. Let's talk about these for a second. So there you go. So that's what I wanted to show off right there. So you'll notice that there are some spikes right there. Okay, so the set comes with 4 spikes. It comes with these 2 silver spikes, and it comes with these 2 red spikes. And these are removable. They are optional if you want to use them or not. I choose to leave them on. So the red ones I just leave back there. And then the silver ones I put on the struts right here for the motorcycle mode. The struts, by the way, are spring-loaded, which is kind of cool, even though they serve no purpose for that bike mode, but there it is. Those are spring-loaded. You also get, along with the set, you get these 2 adapters. And these 2 adapters are for the purpose of putting the silver spikes on the struts. So I just leave them there, just like that. So there's that. Now on the wheels, we'll go ahead and remove this wheel as well, because these are the wheels that are going to go on his shoulders later. So we'll go ahead and remove that real quick, and then just leave that in the background. So if you look at the wheels have a plain side, and then they have a side with the brakes, which is really neat, right? So I pay attention and make sure that I'm putting the brakes on the same side of the motorcycle. But then for the robot mode, I like to put the brake pad facing out. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take these spikes and I'm going to plug them right there, just like that. All right, so now we're ready to set these aside. These are going to mount on his shoulders later in the robot mode. We'll set those off to the side. This piece right here, you'll see that that's a port and a peg on each side. This side has a port and a peg. This side has a port and a peg, and these are going to line up and match up together. These can spin, so it doesn't really matter how you face them. I usually tend to just face them all the same way. And this is going to become a melee weapon for him later on. You see the little tabs right there, so you can tab the weapon into his hand. So there's his melee weapon. We'll set that off to the side, and we'll finish off on the motorcycle. So we'll go ahead and put away his little kickstands right there. We're going to start right here with the bottom of the motorcycle. Bring that up a bit. You have these panels right here. These are covering up his hand, so you can just go ahead and reach in there and slide that in, just like that, on both sides. Come down here. These blue panels are tabbed in, so we're going to pull these from there. So you got tabs here that are going into those slots right there. We're going to separate the legs. The legs are tabbed in together up here. They're also, let me move this back. You'll see that there is a slot right there that's going into the tab of that piece right there. So we're going to pull that off. And while we're straightening out the leg, the shin is tabbed into the top of the thigh right there, or pegged in right there. So just pull all of that off. We can go ahead and close that right there. We can flip this around and push the leg in. And then on the foot, we're just going to bring the foot around and forward. Reach back here. This red piece is going to be his heel, just like that. And that's a leg done. So again, this was tabbed in here. So just untab that. Bring the leg down. Untab the shin from the thigh. Bring that down. Close that. Push the leg in. Rotate the yellow panel. Bring the foot forward and bring out the heel. And that's the bottom of the robot done already. And I'm all nice and straight. Now, his hip piece right here, this is just going to come straight down. This white piece is going to tap in right there and secure. And there you go. That's all done. Now we work on the top here. This is the last bit of the transformation, is going to be the trickiest. That's the one that's going to probably take the longest amount of time. So go ahead and unplug the white gas tank part and just kind of, move it back and get it out of the way. These front panels right here, they are tabbed in. There's a slot there, there's a tab there. Just untab them and bring them back. This is going to allow you to bring the arms around. There's a peg and a port there, so bring the arms around, peg those into place. Close that little tab right there. And then straighten out the arm. Turn the arm around, and you can open up his fists. I cannot get into that thumb. There you go. There you go. Same thing over here. So move the panel up, bring the shoulder around, peg it into place, close that, straighten out the arm, turn it around, and open up his fists. Finally, we're going to reach in here. Well, not finally. We're going to reach in here and get his head out. Bring that out. Let's stand him up. Get his arms out of the way. All right, so we get his head out, and then we can bring these panels down, and all of this is going to line up together and tab back into place, and it's all going to hold together right there. We're almost done, but this next part, this is the most difficult part. So we're going to take the tank and the handlebars here. The handlebars are actually pegged in underneath this. So if you pull up on the little windscreen right there, you can see the little bar right there that it's pegged into. So you got to work that out just like that. You see that? Right there was pegged in right there. Now this can go in. Before we forget, reach inside of the gas tank and pull up his shoulders, or his little shoulder handles right there. Okay, now let's talk about these handlebars, because there's a good chance that there's going to be a cut here. So on these handlebars, what we're going to do, you can put this all the way in his back, but it has to be just so. Per the instructions, what we're going to do is we're going to bring these in. We're going to turn the brake handles and the brake and the clutch. We're going to turn these in. So the handles have to be touching each other. One mirror underneath both of them, one mirror on top of both of them. So I'm going to bring this one down. Bring these together like so. So you see the handles are touching each other. There's a mirror underneath and there's a mirror on top. All right, so now we got to work this using this double hinge. We got to work this entire thing through that hole and get it out this side so that we can tuck it into his back. Okay. This has to spin, and I forget the order of things. I forget if I have to spin it now or later. I'm going to try to spin it now and see how this goes. This might be a spin now situation. Now, if I get this tank as far back as I can, and this nose piece as far forward as I can, typically I can get it in there. All right, I think maybe. There we go. We got it. Now go ahead and take the nose piece and bring it all the way back, and that's going to just rest down there. Now, this is probably not going to show on camera, but there's a cavity in there with two openings, and those two openings are meant for the handlebars. So the handlebars need to be not too close and not too far apart, and point it just right. And if you point it everything just right, you'll be able to close this up no problem. Like that. That should fit right in there. That should go all the way down, just like that. And you saw everything just snapped into place. Now these two tabs that were tabbed into the top slots on his back for bike mode, they're going to go into the bottom set of slots for the robot mode. And again, if you lined everything up correctly, everything is going to fit in there, and everything is going to snap into place just like that. You see we got a solid connection here on his back, solid connection there on his back. The handlebars, the brake and the clutch, both mirrors, everything secure in his back. And you can just see the handlebar poking out on the side right there. And right there, that means we got it right. So there we go. We're all set. Turn him around. Let's put his wheels on and get the camera straightened back up again. Whoa. Something is always going to go wrong when you turn the camera on. Usually the transformation doesn't go right. In this case, the transformation did go right. I was getting too excited about that, and then I started knocking my camera over. Something's always going to go wrong. But what are you going to do? All right, let's bring in the wheels, and we're going to tab these in right here. And be careful, because these spikes on these wheels are super sharp. And there we have KFC Toecutter Cykill in his robot mode. And in robot mode, Toecutter Cykill here is massive. He is approximately 8.5 inches tall. Absolutely massive. Beautiful, beautiful figure. Nice and hefty. All of this is die cast down here. This is all metal down here. Of course, he's got a little bit of metal because of the handlebars inside of the chest right there. So he's got a good weight to him. He feels really good, and he looks absolutely fantastic. Now, again, the spikes are a choice, right? You don't, this doesn't look like your let's call it G1, your G1 Cykill. He didn't have these spikes. Those are there, again, because this comes from the Junkion mode. So these are optional. I dig them. I'm leaving them there. It's a new take on Cykill, so I'm leaving them there. But these spikes are completely optional. Now, if we had an option of not having the spikes on the wheels, then I probably wouldn't put those spikes there, because he would look more like the original. It's very interesting to think that KFC did all this work to retool this figure. I mean, this is a very, very, very heavy retool of their Junkion. They went through all that retooling, but they couldn't remove those spikes from the wheels. It's weird. That's just such a weird choice. But there he is. He looks absolutely amazing. He's approximately 8.5 inches tall. He is imposing. He's menacing looking, and he looks just like that original Cykill. Got a little bit of a backpack right here for the nose of the motorcycle. It's not bad. It really isn't. I don't mind it at all. I really dig it. I think he looks fantastic. Articulation-wise, now the head can go up and down, and it's supposed to be able to turn, but not straight. It's supposed to be able to turn as the head goes up. Oh, I guess it did it. Originally, when Patriot Prime had it, his head would not turn, but now it does. But because of the way the neck is cut, the head cannot turn unless you're turning making him face up like that. So he has to be looking up at birds if you want him to look to the sides. But there it is. He can look side to side with a straight head, just a little bit, about that much, and he can look up and down. Shoulders are on ratchets. They can go in and out. They can go forward and backwards, all the way around. Rotation at the bicep, bend at the elbow, nice bend at the elbow, rotation at the wrist. And then the fingers are articulated. You got an articulated thumb. You have an articulated index finger, and then the other two fingers, I almost said three, the other two fingers are held together on the same joint. You got that. We have a waist rotation. Legs can go forward that far, back that far, in and out, rotation at the thigh, about a 90 at the knee, right there. And then the foot, as you can see, is kind of weird. So the foot is on a T-peg in the back here, right? So the foot can go up and down due to transformation. This foot does tend to get a little loose at times. It's held on with a screw. So every couple of days, I just go in there and give it a little just to tighten it up. It looks like it's due for one. It's kind of holding. But he can also tilt. So the feet can move up and down. They can also tilt some, which is really, really nice. Now his weapon, again, he only came with the one melee weapon. If you look inside of his hand, he does have a slot right in there. And we got some tabs on the weapon here, so you can tab that right into his hand. Come on, work with me. I said tab that into his hand, and then close your fingers around it. Just like that. And hey, if you want to take the spikes and put them back on here again, you can do that. You can put a spike here, move this adapter to the other side and put the other spike up there so he has a double spiked weapon. It's a thing you can do. It's got options. It's got play options. Again, I like to leave the spikes on his wheels, so I just kind of treat this like it's a beat you up weapon kind of a thing. It's just the way I'm treating it. Let's see if we can get him standing here nicely. Yeah, I think I really do need to tighten up those feet again. Again, it's just one of those things. Every couple of days I have to go in and tighten them up. All right, so couple of quick comparisons. Again, here is KFC's Toecutter next to Action Toys Bike Robo. And again, you can see that, you know, the bike mode was a little bit of a creative difference. There was, you know, it's a new take. I dig it. But that robot mode, that is 100% original G1 Cykill. I mean, check that out. That looks awesome. So there he is next to Action Toys Bike Robo. One more time, here he is next to the Super GoBots Cykill. And let's just, because they're so small, let's bring them all in together. There is the original G1. I'm going to call him G1. I like that. I mean, it was G1, right? It's all at the same time. Generation 1, first generation. There he is with the original Cykill, Super GoBot Cykill, and Action Toys Bike Robo. Yeah, he's absolutely massive. He's bigger than most of my Masterpiece figures. So that's actually really, really cool. Most. I said most. I did not say all. I can hear you typing away already, correcting me. Yes, you. You know who I'm talking about. You. All right. It is very early in the morning. I have not had a full cup of coffee yet, and I'm not thinking straight. Okay. I think that's it. This is a fantastic figure. This is one of those, you really have to be a GoBots fan or a Cykill fan, or maybe you're just a fan of KFC Toys Junkion modes and you just want to build an army of Junkions. I think that's who this is really, really good for. I don't think that this is going to appeal to the average collector. This is kind of a niche thing. I am into GoBots, and I'm into Cykill, and Cykill was always my favorite GoBot. You know, my daughter brought up something. She said something the other day that made me think of something, made me realize. Cykill has always been my favorite GoBot, and as I was setting these up and taking pictures of them and whatnot, my daughter came in here and pointed out, he goes, he's got the same colors as Optimus Prime. Whoa, that was a whoa moment for me, right? Red body, blue legs, gray silver on the shoulders, white and yellow touches here and there. Yeah, he's got a very similar color palette to Optimus Prime. I wonder if that has anything to do with Optimus Prime being my favorite Transformer and Cykill being my favorite GoBot. Something to think about. I never really thought about that, but yeah, that's weird. Cykill has always been my favorite. But anyway, if you're into GoBots, if you're into Cykill, this figure is fantastic. That bike mode, it's not perfect. It's not functional. That is a put it on display and look at it bike mode. I do like the look of it. I like that post-apocalyptic take on the bike mode. I think it's cool. But that's all it's going to do. It's going to sit there and look cool. But this robot mode, look at this. This is absolutely glorious. And I think that about does it for the KFC Toys E.A.V.I Metal Phase P6 Toecutter, or, well, Masterpiece Cykill. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll talk to you next time.